On this week's show, the 5-point checklist when starting your business.
In the news, are we becoming a cashless society?
And we're going to be answering all your business-related questions. Hi, I'm Russell Leeds.
I'm Alasdair Cunningham.
And welcome to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint podcast. I almost said.
I know exactly what you nearly said.
I guess you can start getting in the habit of this. So we do another podcast as well. If you're checking us out for the first time, Property Investors Podcast. And almost, but I didn't.
I know, I got you.
I almost did. How you doing, my friend? You had a good week?
Yeah, I've had a pretty good week. So I'm loving the new podcast. Loving it. So I'm getting a lot of friends and that and colleagues saying it's the first episode was really good. So yeah, all good. What about yourself?
I'm very good. I went to the theatre the other day.
What did you say?
Wedding singer.
Do you know you go to the theatre a lot?
I live in London.
I know, but you don't. You live in Beaconsfield. That's a bit far out.
That's not how you say it.
How is it? Beaconsfield. Okay. You live in Beaconsfield.
Where do you live?
I live in Maida Vale.
In where?
Maida Vale.
Maida Vale?
Yeah.
Maida Vale?
Maida Vale.
Never heard of it. I thought you was in Holborn.
No. I live in between Kilburn and Maida Vale in St John.
Kilburn.
It's like Kilburn, Maida Vale area. So
yeah,
so it's all right. It's just a nice apartment. But yeah, it's central London. It's like 4 tube stops.
So why don't you go to the theatre very often?
Do you know what? I've lost track with what's on at the theatres.
Just look online. It's there. Bang, straight away.
I know, and I need to, because I was actually saying yesterday. I walked past and I was walking down Regent Street yesterday, and there's a ticket booth right at the very end of Regent Street as you go into Piccadilly. And I was thinking, I really need to go to the theatre more often. And that made me think about you, because you go a lot to the theatre. And I thought, maybe one day he'll invite me, but I'm still waiting for that invite.
Yeah, fat chance.
Yeah.
So if you checked in last week we were talking about the difference between a business and a job. And the biggest difference is a business is something that you can scale, something that you can replicate. So basically, we're going to be looking through the 5 points of basically 5-point checklist kind of thing of what to look for when you're starting your own business, and then we'll be discussing them. So I'm going to start with the last one. I'm going to go counter.
Okay, so number 5.
Number 5. Well, we'll stop. Yeah, it's the last one on my list, but I'm going to go for it first.
Go on, you go.
So they're in no particular order. But are you passionate about it?
That's very good.
For me, I actually watched a little video of you on Launchpad, and you were saying if you're only in it to make money, you're probably not going to be successful.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's very true.
Yeah.
Because if all you're caring about is the money,
yeah,
there's got to be more to it. There's got to be a mission. There's sort of 2 things. You've got mission and money, and you kind of want both. And you want to be passionate about both.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you're passionate about making money, then.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You could be passionate.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. I see so many people that want to start businesses, but they've got no real desire. They've got no real sort of passion or desire to actually do the business that they want to run. They just see it as a means to make money. For them, it's just like a cash cow to making money. And if there's no passion or drive there, what's going to keep them going on the bad days? What's going to keep them going when times are hard, man? Sometimes
they are.
Business is not always easy, and you need something that keeps you up, that lifts you up, that keeps you going, that inspires you, and that you actually enjoy doing. Like, I know for you, and definitely for me, we're in business. We're business partners. I love what we do. To me, it's not a job. To me, it's not a business. To me, when I come here, I'm not coming here to go to a job or a business. I'm coming here because this is me. This is what I do. I love it. I know you love it. It's like, I'm not constantly looking at my clock saying, oh, it's 9 o'clock, we need to get home. I'm not doing all that. To me, I'm like,
9 o'clock, need to go home. That's hardcore,
that's
man. That's hardcore.
But I'm not. To me, I don't keep talking. I don't keep track of clocks.
No.
I'm here to work. I'm here to do what I do because I love my business and you love your business.
Is that why it comes rocking in at 11, Nick?
That's why I start at midday.
I don't keep track of time.
Yeah, I don't.
That's why he leaves at 3.
My point being is, if you're not passionate about what you do, it will always be a job. And it will just be I've got to go work today.
It's Steve Jobs. I can't remember the quote, but Steve Jobs says something along the lines of, if you want to be successful in business, you've got to be a bit insane, because any sane person would quit.
Yeah, that's very true. It's so true, isn't it? Any sane person would give up. They really would. They'd go back to an employment position.
And if you're not passionate about it, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, You when some of the stuff that you go through, you just think, oh,
what is the point?
What is that? It's not worth it. It's not worth it for the money alone. So you've got to be able to be really passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. So what's next?
So next is avoid low barrier to entry.
Yes.
Avoid low barrier to entry because you're going to have lots of competition. It's going to make it difficult to keep staff. I gave an example. I talked about this on a video the other week. And I gave an example of mobile hairdressing. Because my mom set up a mobile hairdressing business, i.e., like we talked about last week, job, so to speak. And she did very well at it, made decent money. The hourly rate's pretty good, etc. But when she tried to scale it into a business, she found it impossible because anyone that you took on would just go and do it themselves because all they've got, if they can cut hair, which obviously they can, all they need is their own bag and a pair of scissors, and they can kind of do it already.
And some customers, they
don't need
it's a problem I had with my workshop, mate.
Go on, tell me about it.
Same thing. To set the workshop up costs a lot of money. Like, you're constantly investing in products, tools, equipment, etc., etc. But if you had, I used to employ mechanics, and you'd employ a mechanic, you'd pay them 12, 13, 14 pound an hour, but I was charging them out at 45 pound an hour. They would soon see that, and then suddenly they're buying themselves a van, and then suddenly they're going to the customer. So I used to deal with bus and coach companies and lorry companies, and suddenly, like, one of my members of staff decided to start up on his own, and he bought himself a van at $1,000 or whatever, and he went out and he then approached my customers saying, well, I'm doing the work anyway, why don't you just pay me £22 an hour? Instead of paying Alasdair £45 an hour, just pay me 22 and I'll come to your place. So it's better for you. And I lost a contract to somebody like that. So
it's the problem, isn't it? It's the problem. If it's too easy to get started in it, they will. You'll just get people that especially a trade. So with trades it's so easy to get work, isn't it?
Trades are it's very easy. If you're good at what you do, you'll always be busy. My parents have always said to me, my mum and dad have always said to me, when I was coming up through school, everything, whatever you do, make sure you have a trade behind you. Make sure you have that qualification behind you of a trade, because if you're good at it, you'll always be busy. Plumbers will always be busy. Electricians will always have work. Joiners, carpenters, I could go on.
But then it makes it difficult because it's so easy. There's not correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know the trade industry that well, but there's not like a big business that is dominating the industry, is there?
No, not really. I mean, like for instance, in the plumbing world in London, you have Pimlico Plumbers. Pimlico Plumbers.
Very easy to say.
Really good, really good business. Guy was a plumber, and he set up and he's made it into a business. Pays his staff incredibly well, and it's now a very systemized business, and it's the biggest plumbing firm in London. But it's
that's very the way around it. You've got to pay them well.
Pay them incredibly well.
His
plumbers are on $100,000 a year.
Yeah,
and to be honest, he's Charlie Munnins. His name is Charlie Munnins. There's a lot of, how can we put this? There's a lot of plumbers that have been very busy, but they won't be earning $100,000 a year. Believe me, as self-employed, they won't be. They might be turning over $100,000 a year, but they won't be profit $100,000 a year. Whereas if you can go and work for this guy and take home a salary of $80,000 to $100,000 a year,
it's not bad.
It's not bad, is it?
It's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Number three.
Is there a good profit margin?
Yeah, very important. Turnovers, vanity. Profit is sanity. Yeah. Always remember that. Turnover is just about, it's like, I'm not interested in turnover. Like, it doesn't excite me. It doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in it. I'm more about what you keep. Because I know people that turn over millions of pounds a year but never make any money. I know bus and coach companies that have turnovers of £2 million, and at the end of the day, they can't pay their bills on a monthly basis because they've undercut so many people to try and get contracts that the costs are exceeding what they're actually making.
This is where it's difficult though, because we talk about low barrier to entry. This is where there's a balancing act, isn't there? Because if it's low barrier to entry, you've got to pay your staff well in order to keep them.
Yeah.
But if you pay your staff well, your profit margins go down, and then it's like
it's finding that middle ground, isn't it? A case in point, right? When I had my commercial vehicle garage, I used to also run a minibus company, I had 4 vehicles that I used to rent out, 16-seater minibuses. Now, we used to do contracts and round the Midlands, and the contracts were basically for disabled children to take them to school. So we'd pick them up from their home, take them to school. We had 4 minibuses, 8-seaters, 16-seaters, but we used to get 8 wheelchairs in them. So we'd pick... we used to get 6 wheelchairs in them. So we'd pick the children up that were in wheelchairs that couldn't easily get access to the schools. So the parents didn't have wheelchair cars, whatever. So the council paid us to go around to their house. We had a woman that come on. We had an escort on the van who come on the van, and we would pay them £10 for morning, £10 for the evening. Right. But the driver, the bus, our costs were about £40 to £50 per trip. Okay. Now, the council, we were charging the council £80 per trip. Mm-hmm. So we're only making £30 a trip here. Now, granted, it only took an hour, so we made £30 an hour, okay? Do that morning and night, 4 buses, so you're doing 8 trips a day, times 30, you're making £200 a day profit after all the costs. Mm. So the buses were there, they weren't doing a lot, and they used to work throughout the day. That was one job they'd done throughout the day. The problem is... the bigger companies come along, and they were... Well, actually, there was a new company popped up in town, and they were fighting for all these contracts. Now, to get the contracts, they had to undercut everybody because we had them tied up. Now, we were getting paid £80. They agreed to do these same contracts that we were doing for like £60.
So it's £10.
So they're making £10. But it was owned by... Like, honestly, I mean, it was just horrific. They undercut everybody to get the work. There's no profit in it for them. Whenever the buses went wrong, they couldn't afford to fix them, and then eventually they lost the contracts because they weren't running them on time, they weren't running them to schedule, they were missing runs, they were leaving kids at home and all that sort of stuff because they had no profit margin. And when buses broke down, they couldn't afford to fix them, so the buses were off the road. And then it was just a nightmare. So you must have profit in what you do. You must have profit in what you do. If there's no profit, the business doesn't sustain, doesn't keep going.
Something to bear in mind as well, and so many people say like, oh, I'm keeping my business. What's the VAT threshold at the moment?
84,000, I think it is.
84,000. Keeping my business under the 84,000 because I can't afford to charge my customers 20% more, and I also can't afford to swallow it up.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, well, you're in the wrong business.
Yeah, you're in the wrong business.
If you're in a business where you can't afford to
grow it.
You can't afford to grow it. Yeah, it's like you're doomed in mediocre.
That's such a bad way to look at things, isn't it?
It is.
Like I want to stay under the VAT threshold, so I don't have to increase my costs.
A lot of people say it, but then the other area that people say about is that I can't afford to pay someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Because then there's they're getting paid for their time, and that's.
But I think it's not necessarily their fault. I think this comes down to the education of business. It comes down to the education side of business, where most people that start businesses. Hello, are you there?
Yeah. Sorry, I was just checking where you're at.
Oh, okay. Most people that that start businesses, they come from a position of I was in a job and I can make it better. But we talked about that on last week's show, that they're not coming from a position of fine. I'm in a job. I want to make it better. I want to make this better for me. What do I need to do to know that I'm doing it properly? They just go straight in there, a little bit blind sometimes, start a business, and then work it out as they go, which is fine. I done that. You done that. We've all done that. But I think sometimes if you could just step back and get educated a little bit to business, it would be a lot quicker. Like think about it. If I got educated and you got educated about business when we first started, we would have got there a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, it saved us a lot of mistakes.
Saved a lot of mistakes, a lot of money, a lot of heartache, a lot of sleepless nights.
But the thing is, profit is what my point is if you're having to do the job, if it's your time, and then that's the profit. That isn't profit.
No, it's not.
You've got to look at it as if, okay, so like let's say your bus example just now. If you were the driver, So and how much did you pay the driver?
Well, I had to drive one of them because we didn't.
So you were the driver. So we said the driver was getting paid £10. That was you. So, but let's say the other company, they were the driver, and they're like, well, there's £30 profit. It's like, well, no, because if you had to pay a driver to do it, then it's
not scalable.
There's only £10 profit, and suddenly it's not scalable at those prices. So you've got to take everything into consideration. How much would it pay? How much should you pay to get someone else to do the job so that they're happy enough that they'll stay.
Yeah.
This is where the barrier to entry comes in. So with something like hairdressing or fixing cars, it's a bit more difficult. But if you have got to have if you've got to have a unit, for example, like a shop.
Yeah. Suddenly
you're not going to get an employee that goes to work at a shop that just thinks, I could just set the shop up myself.
No, because they've got to put financial investment into it. So I talked to you earlier in last week's show about an investment I'm making at the minute. That's actually for a barber shop. So same thing.
Yeah.
So they're looking at £30,000 to open this shop up. And I know he's very good at a barbering, but he's not very good at business. So that's where I would come in, because I'm better. I'm not a barber. I can do business. I just can't do barbering, as you can see. So, and I know that wherever he's worked, he's done very well. And I know that he always has queues of people. I know he does. So I'm very confident in work, but he's not a businessman.
Is he a good manager?
This is the thing. He's not a good manager. He's not a good businessman.
So why do you need him?
Because he's very good at doing the actual job.
Yeah, but how easy is it to get someone that's good at actual job?
Barbering,
it's easy.
It's harder than you think.
It's not.
Dude, I know a lot of barbers. It's harder than you think. You ask any barber that runs a successful barber shop, they'll tell you one of the biggest problems they have is finding good barbers.
Sure, I'm sure it is. Yeah. But just like looking at it logically, I'm looking at it now. It's like if you're putting the money in, and the business skill and everything for one person who's just good at barbering.
Yeah, I know. It just
doesn't make any sense.
I get that, because when I could just employ him, I could start a barbershop and then could just employ him. Yeah. But then there's no incentive for him to stay. But you'd have to pay him incredibly well.
No, you wouldn't.
Well,
there's lots of people. There is.
Good barbers have a following, mate. Would you agree? Good barbers have a following. Honestly, they're not. And I'm talking barbers that are charging £45, £50, not £20.
So whose business is it, yours or his?
It'd be both of ours. But I'll own most of it. He'll own not a lot of it until he's paid me back.
It's mental.
Well, we're not agreed to anything yet. We're looking into it.
It's mental.
It's just early stages.
Because you've got to think about what you're bringing to the table. You're bringing the money, the place, the management, everything.
I won't be doing anything, though. I'm hands off.
So who's managing it then?
I'm going to be hands off. I'm just going to set him up and guide him.
So he's the manager.
He's going to be the manager with
training. Then is he a good manager?
He will be a good manager after he's been trained. He will be. He has managed barbershops for the last 15 years, but that's been from a position of employment, not from a position of it's my business, it's my money on the table.
Okay, so he has managed the shops.
He has managed shops in the past.
When I asked you if he was a good manager, you said no.
Because it's not been his money. Do you know what I mean? It's not. He's not been invested in the.
But would you employ him as a manager?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I would employ him as a manager. Yeah, of course. He's very good at it, and he's always had a following. So we'll see what happens. Like I say, nothing's been done yet, but I'm just discussing it with him at the minute. So we'll see. But I want.
If he's watching this show, he must think I'm a cock.
Yeah, probably does. Don't worry, he won't watch.
That was before I started talking about this.
No. So okay, next one. Okay,
so what have we done? We've done passionate. Low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Good profit margin.
Yeah.
Right, next, really big one, really important one. Is it able to be replicated?
Yeah, that's good. So talk to me about a business that's
I'll give an example that isn't. So your example now just here, but you're telling me that he's the be-all, end-all. Yeah. Right, so you're not going to be able to open another barbershop then, are you?
Not with him at the helm of it, no. We'd have to train people up to work to his level.
Cool. So that probably, in that case, if it's as difficult as you've just said in terms of getting he's one of a kind, that's going to be very difficult to replicate. Yeah.
So you have to get people to somewhere near his standard, and then take it from there. But his standard is very high. It's like, do you know Zach? Zach from the Property Academy?
No.
Okay. Zach, he joined the Property Investors Academy about 8 months ago. About a year ago, sorry. And he actually owns a chain of barbershops in Bedford.
Oh, I do know him.
You know Zach?
Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah.
Right. And he's the same. He's a very, very good barber. And all he's done is he's replicated out across a load of barbers, and he's trained people up. And he started like a little barbering academy to train people how to do it.
It's very
and that's what he's done. He's made that's how he's systemized his business.
I've never owned a bricks and mortar restaurant, barber type shop, but from what I know, it's very, very difficult to replicate them.
I can think of a really good example of this. Think of chefs. Like if you go to like an Indian restaurant, okay? If you go out for an Indian restaurant, it's very difficult to have the same meal twice. Do you know what I mean by that? So you'll go and order a chicken tikka masala one day, and it would be beautiful, and then you go like the same restaurant a week later, and it would just taste differently. Unless the same chef's on, because the chefs all have different ways of doing things, and it's so honestly.
This is where for that sort of business,
they're so skilled at what they do.
For that sort of business, that's where the E-Myth comes in perfectly. So what Mackey's have done
systems
is they've just gone, look, we can't make the best burger,
but we
can make this one exactly like this every single time, and you know what you're going to get. This is how you follow it.
Have you seen on Netflix? I forget the name of the film, the McDonald's film. On Netflix. Let me find it. Well, you talk from
the Super Size Me one.
No. Let me find you the actual name of the film. It is a banger. Netflix Mackey's film.
Or is it about their systems and stuff?
It is about. Hold on, let me find it. I watched it. It's called The Founder. The Founder.
I haven't seen it.
I can watch it. Watch it tonight. Honestly, it's on Netflix. It's called The Founder, and it's about how Ray Kroc started McDonald's and how he
didn't, did he?
Well, he didn't start it, but he worked for them very early on, and he grew it. But then he had a really aggressive takeover of McDonald's from the McDonald brothers,
because he saw their systems and was like, oh my goodness.
He sold milkshakes machines, and he went to one of the McDonald's and like one of the original McDonald's, and he couldn't believe the systems they had in place. And how anybody could rock up, have a little bit of training, and then run the systems. And he was fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting them to systemize it and grow the business. And then he had a very aggressive takeover. Watch the business. Watch it. It's very good film. You will love it. You will love this film.
Our children's entertainment business that we used to run, that was kind of like very much the case of the E-Myth type.
Okay.
You've got, I created my show.
Yeah.
Scripted it.
Yeah.
This is exactly how it is. This is the show that you do. These are the games that you play. This is how it all works. Video training, so it systemized the training almost. And then what we used to do was originally I was the trainer, so I used to train people, work alongside the video training. I would train them how to do it. But then once we had a load of good people, we promoted some of them to trainers.
Yeah.
So someone would come on, they would train it, and you'd go out with someone, and that kind of, we systemize it. This is the show, this is how it works. Everyone does it the exact same.
Yeah.
We say the exact same lines at the exact same times, and that's kind of, so you can systemize.
This is what we're doing with the Property Investors training company. That we
Not really.
Well, the crash courses. The crash course, Samuel's taken a step back, and we have systemized the crash courses so that they're all scripted. They're all not scripted, but they've all got.
It's Samuel's exact teaching, Samuel's exact methods.
We're teaching his
the
methods.
difference between that is it's very, very difficult, because you've got, in order to systemize it, I suppose to speak, this is where I say it's difficult to do, because you've got to get people in who are A, brilliant property investors that know it inside out, B, brilliant communicators that are able to communicate that, and C, people that can follow the script and that are prepared to do it. So the skill level is actually very, very hard.
It's very high. Yeah.
More the systemization of it would be like being able to do more events. Do more events, get more people in the room. Okay,
so I'm thinking, like, obviously with crash courses, every session we know what we're doing in every session. So it's very.
Yeah, it's actually a difficult business to. It's actually a difficult business to majorly systemize, unless you go online, for example. So obviously we're looking at online courses and programs, which then suddenly is very easy to systemize. Okay. So it depends on how you do it. There are ways around it. It's something to bear in mind. We have systemized it to a point. We're training on obviously YouTube. We're training hundreds of thousands of people through YouTube. We're training thousands of people every month. So in order to get to that level, I suppose just doing it to more than one person. A lot of property trainers do one-on-one. We're doing thousands of people every month. 100%. So they're, to a point, we've systemized it.
So we've gone off a bit of tangent. So make it so it's not replicable.
Yeah.
How would you avoid that?
So that you can replicate it, you mean?
Well, what was
you want a business that you can replicate.
Okay.
Right. So you can. So otherwise, let's say for example, you wanted to be a business coach, and your business model was that you see one person at a time, and the reason that you can do it is because you're a business genius.
Yeah. So you
Well, it's not
by doing videos, things like that.
Yeah. Can you replicate that, or is it going to be you're trading your time for money?
You're trading your time for money if it's just one-on-one.
Cool. So
you
how
have to do
so,
one to many?
So how can you replicate? So exactly. So you might be okay. Well, I can do one to many, or I can do a video conference, or I can bring what I did. I can teach my ways, and I can bring people in that can learn my ways and go with the entertainment. That can learn exactly what I do and go and teach that.
And I think the making it so it's replicable. It also needs to be able to survive without you being there. I think sometimes so.
Well, of course, because otherwise it's a job. Otherwise you're back in the situation where you're trading your time for money, which is why I say the business coach, for example, if it's unless you're getting paid very, 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 very well, and then you might go, okay, I can't replicate it, but like a pop star. Can Beyonce replicate herself?
No,
not really.
100%.
Not really. Yeah. But she's getting paid millions of pounds, so she probably doesn't really care. Yeah. But if you're creating a normal business...
Prime example, part of what we do, we have a monthly business coach with Rex and Sue.
Yeah.
And they have multiple calls, so instead of doing one-on-one, they do 1 to about... How many? 6, 1 to 6. So they do coaching sessions with 1 to 6 people. So they're saying 6 people at a time, so it's very easy for them to replicate that. Sure. And then they have it all fans out, and they have trees, and that's all they're doing all the time.
But if you're starting a business from scratch, you need to be looking at how big can I take this?
Yeah.
You know, can I replicate this? Yeah. And if so, what ways? What are my ideas? Can I take it online? Can I hire people to do the same? Yeah. Can I do it to group people at a time? And you can, because every business will have, unless you're Coca-Cola or Amazon. Yeah. I mean, Amazon have replicated it to the app. They're everywhere.
Adam, talk about systems. Amazon have got some systems in place.
Amazon have got systems. They've amazing systems, but in order to create those amazing systems, I guarantee they've got some amazing tech people that are working.
Have you ever seen inside an Amazon distribution warehouse? Like the tracks.
They do tours now, don't they?
Yeah, you can do tours. But also there's a documentary on Netflix that goes into about it as well. So it's about I think it's on the mega factories, and it takes you inside. They don't sell it as Amazon factory, but you know it is by the packaging.
Yeah.
And it shows you that it's like train tracks everywhere, just conveyor belts everywhere. Like all different levels, and then it's all systemized. That just pushes so as the box is going along, it's got to go to this station. As it comes along, it just gets pushed out, gets taped. The systems in these places are phenomenal.
It very much. This is why E-Myth versus the Google philosophy. It very much depends on your business type.
Yeah. So E-Myth.
Sometimes you'll have both. Amazon will have both. They'll have workers that are just following the systems, i.e., factory workers, etc. And then they'll also have genius members of staff who are working with.
So think of that then. Like the E-Myth talks about having great systems and mediocre people running them. Like where would that be in real life? So pretty much all fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
Anywhere, like any sort of distribution company. So like things like Amazon, any of these big warehouses, they're all the same.
Factory type.
Any factory type employment, yeah. Okay.
But our main business, which is a training business, it's not really like that. So we need people in customer service who are great people that know how to problem solve and work. We need people in marketing who are creative and they can come up with content.
So we
need trainers. We just need good people. Okay, we just stopped, by the way, in case you're wondering, just to get some.
Joe and the juice.
I'm on a crazy diet for a week.
I know.
Jason Vale, 7 pounds in 7 days.
Cool.
So by this time next week,
you'll be ripped.
Oh, no, I won't be ripped. Just be £7 lighter. I need to lose more than that to get ripped.
Right, okay.
All right, number 5, final one. Is your product or service in demand?
Yeah.
And it sounds
obvious.
It sounds obvious, but the amount of people that don't do... They'll come to me and they'll say, Russell, I've got a great idea for a business. I'm going to sell paintings of the local area in this... And I'm just like, Rick, come on.
Do you know, I drove past a business in London recently, and it's in a very prime location. So like the shop wouldn't be cheap. If they were renting it would be very expensive.
The mirror shop.
Yeah, the mirror shop.
I was with you.
Remember, you were with me. And there was this huge shop just designated to mirrors. And I'm thinking to myself, like, even just to stand still, he's got to be making something like £200 a day. Do you know what I mean? Just to pay their costs and rent, and he wants to sell
minimum.
So there's no way on earth that he's going to be selling that. So yeah, of course it will. But there's no way on earth, because we in the time that we passed it several times, and I pass it a lot. I never see anybody in there. Like, who goes to a mirror shop nowadays to buy mirrors? Now, it's just like, It's just such a dead end business. Surely,
Maybe it's a cover up shop.
it could be a front for whatever. But maybe I'm deluded. Maybe the business to be in is mirrors. I don't know.
Maybe.
If you run a successful mirror shop, please come and tell me.
Maybe there'll be people banging on about here.
But it just, I thought to myself, there's like,
you'll be ashamed. You won't be able to look yourself in the mirror. You won't have one. Have you got a mirror?
I have, but
you bought one.
I didn't go to a mirror shop to buy it. I bought it at Dunelm or something like that. Amazon or whatever. But like things like mirror shops and that, and some of the old school shops that just need to close down because let's face it, we are in a world where we have Amazon. They have Prime delivery, next day delivery, and anything you pretty much want. So if you can buy it on Amazon, like, why would you... Like, I'll tell you another shop that's just been set up for you. This is next door to Kilburn Tube Station. I saw it set up about a month ago, and the shop was derelict for ages, and then suddenly, within about 2 days, this new shop's opened up selling, like, mobile phone cases, SIM cards, all that sort of stuff. And it's like a gadget shop, but, like... Realistically,
but restaurants often do it. How often do you see a restaurant?
Hold on, I'm like telling you a story. But realistically, who goes to a shop to buy a mobile phone case? You just buy it on Amazon.
Right, so what was the story?
My point being is it's a pointless business.
You made your point with the time before. You gave another example. So I want to hear the story about the shop.
The point being is it's a pointless business. Like surely.
What's the story?
The story is if there's no demand.
That's not a story.
No,
that's a point.
The point. No, my point being is I was in the middle of talking and you just brutally interrupted me. My point being is there's demand for that product, right? Of course there's demand because everyone wants mobile phone covers and all that sort of stuff. But they're not going to buy it in a high street when it's 5 times more expensive than buying it on Amazon, are they? It's just it's.
Can I am allowed to talk now? Back up your point. Are you sure?
You go.
You sure? You're okay. So, how many times just like a restaurant open up, and then within a month it's gone?
Yeah.
And you're like, obviously there was no demand in that area, but people start businesses all the time where there's no demand. And one of the things people say is, I found a gap in the market for this. And the truth is there are gaps in the market, but
for a reason.
But very, very rarely, yeah. Is it actually because it's something good? No. If there's an actual gap in the market, chances are someone will beat you. Chances are you didn't create it with this thing. Chances are just people don't want it.
There's another one. There's another. I can't remember the name of this place, but it's near me, and it's on a very busy high street, very busy like area, and it's like a nightclub, stroke wine bar, but it is in the complete wrong area. It's always open. There's always a doorman stood outside, but I never see anybody go in. And you can see, it's all glass fronted. You can see who's in there.
Yeah.
There's never anybody in there. Like suddenly you'll drive past and there'll be about 4 people in there.
It's lack of research.
It's just like
lack of research.
And they've obviously spent a lot of money opening that place. And it'll be shut down before long.
How big is it?
It's a corner plot of a main road.
Nightclub though.
It's like a nightclub sort of like posh restaurant, gastro bar, but in the complete wrong area. It's just, it would work. If it was in central London, I'm sure it'd work. But where it is, it's just never going to work.
Yeah.
Never going to work.
Okay. Interesting. But I think it's just about doing your due diligence on what you're offering and just by copying other people. So if you want to open up if you want to start selling, I don't know, what mobile phone SIM cards.
Yeah.
Okay, how much do those mobile phone SIM card people make? How much profit is that? And just doing your research, checking how in demand is it, what areas they work, what areas don't they work, without before just coming up with an idea and going gung ho. I'm going to start. Is actually check the demand. How much demand is there? How much can you grow? What percentage? You know, it's the sort of thing you don't think about when you're starting a small business. But what percentage of the population are interested in what you're doing?
My test is: can you buy it on Amazon? If you can buy it on Amazon, you're going to struggle. I really think if you can buy it on Amazon, I think any business selling that product is going to struggle because there's no we live in a busy life. Yeah, we're all busy. We're all super busy. All right. The days of going to a high street to buy stuff now are gone. The days of us, do you know what I mean? So if
depends where you are. So I used to think that very much back in the Midlands, but here in London, the high street is massive. It's rammed.
Yeah, but no, I don't know.
Where'd you buy your suit from?
My suit, Hugo Boss.
You bought it from Amazon?
No, good point.
You can buy suits on Amazon.
You can, yeah. Okay, that's a higher end. That's high end business. like buying £1,000 suits is a bit more higher end than. I'm talking about like your everyday small. Like I don't imagine as many small business owners are going to open up a high end tailors at this point.
No, but it takes out your argument if it's on Amazon that it's no good.
It does actually. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so just scrub that bit. No, but I'm talking about things like you see people set businesses up with like consumable items, and they spend all that money on setting up a shop front to sell like mobile phone cases, like. Small electronic stuff. So you're never going.
I'm not interested in that sort of business.
You're never going to compete.
I agree. So to recap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on, let's recap on the 5.
So here are the 5. I've written them down so that just in case, just to make sure that we got through them all. It's actually you'll know these because it was obviously part of my. It's in my book.
It is in your book. Yeah. It's in quite detail. Yeah.
But here you go. So these are the 5 points. Number 1. We'll go the right way now. Number 1, good profit margin.
Yep.
It's
critical.
Number 2 is there demand for the product.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, is it easy to replicate?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to replicate it. Number 4, avoid if it's too low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Because you just get all your staff will leave to go and set up in competition with you, like you found out. And number 5, most important one, are you passionate about it?
I think that sums it up. If you can find a business that ticks all of them boxes, it's a good start. That's a good place to then start doing your research.
Literally, I mean, we've just invested in an app recently, and every time I invest in a business, start a new business, whatever it is, I always check through those points, and I think about long-term vision of the business. Can I replicate it? What is the profit margin like? And property, one of the reasons I'm into property is it's a brilliant business.
Yeah.
For the profit and everything in property is fantastic.
Replicable.
Right, it's now time for this. So, in the news this week, Alasdair, take it away.
Okay, so This Is Money, and its fears Britain is sleepwalking itself into a cashless society. Tap and go, or tappy. Card payments surged to £223 million a day. So, interestingly, number of contactless payments made has soared in the last 12 months, fueling fears that Britain is walking into a cashless society. Britain spends on average £223 million a day on contactless payments, or $6.9 billion during the month.
Why is that a fear? What's the issue?
Small businesses.
What about small businesses?
A lot of small businesses rely on cash.
Well, they shouldn't do. Just take card.
Yeah, I know that.
What's the issue?
So increasingly, many customers are making tap and go payments for small transactions such as coffee, sandwiches, well below £30 spending limit. While many appreciate the convenience, experts warn banks are pressuring customers to switch to plastic cards and contactless technology rather than cash to cut their costs.
It's just easier.
I agree with you. It's so much easier. I'm the same. I agree with you.
I never carry. You carry cash, don't you?
Yeah.
I never carry cash.
I have cash, but not.
For me, it's just. Do you know in China? Talking about Netflix documentary called New Money in China.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Seen it?
Yeah.
So in China, do you know how in London now, you've got places that don't accept cash?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like card only. In China, there's like places that only accept mobile payments only. You can't even pay by card.
Yeah.
No one uses card. No one uses cash. They just use their phones to pay for everything.
China's the emerging market, isn't it?
It is. It's mental.
But it is interesting because a lot of like small businesses rely on cash to pay. Like some small businesses still pay their employees in cash. Like
yeah, but why?
I know
it's not a threat to them. It's just get with the times.
Yeah, get with the times.
Any small business person that's just for me. It's like
I think if you're in business, you should have a card machine. Like because
of course you should.
Like I won't buy because I can't remember the last time I paid cash for anything really.
The only exception is the ones that get away with it for me are ones that have got a cash point on next door. Then I will reluctantly go to the cash point.
Yeah, but even then, I can't remember the last time I took cash out of a cash point.
My hairdressers, they don't accept card.
Okay, you need to have words.
So, but the hairdressers is next door to the bank.
Yeah.
And the bank's got a cash point, so it's like...
Yeah, but I honestly do not know the last time I went to a cash point and took cash out. I do not know. I can't remember.
Oh, it was a couple of days ago.
I know, but it just goes to show you that we're so less dependent on cash, aren't we? The bank's obviously loving it because for them it's less paperwork.
But I find it easy.
It's less labour for them because they don't have to bank it. That's why banks are shutting down because there's less staff required to facilitate that cash.
The thing is, for me, personal point of view, for me, like my hair is 22 quid, right? Yeah. So I take out 30,
right?
Pay for my haircut, and then I get £8 in change.
You tight wad. You don't give him a tip.
No.
You tight ass. Honestly,
is that normal?
You give him 30. Tell him to keep the 8 £. Because that's how you do it. It's a service. Tips.
Well, I give him the money. He gives me the change. He doesn't tip me my change. He doesn't go, here's a tenner.
No, but he probably
customer.
throws a pair of scissors at you when you walk out the shop.
You reckon?
Yes.
Do you tip?
Always tip.
Really?
Service-based industry, always tip.
I
Especially barbers.
I didn't know that was like a thing.
Maybe that's why you done that to your hair.
Says you. Why has yours been shaven this little bit away?
No, it's not. That's just age. I've got a comb over. I'll just fish it over.
I didn't know that was like a
You
standard
don't
thing.
tip? Oh.
To be fair though, I've only ever been to the barbers about 3 times ever because my mom is a hairdresser.
Yeah, no.
So like it's only recently since I've moved that I don't see her as much. So now I have to go. So I'm not used. I didn't know that was the etiquette.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the etiquette. Yeah. Like I tip my barber very well. Like very well. I've. Yeah.
Why? If I were you, I'd slap him.
No, because when I go, it's the full experience, bro. Hot shave, hot towel, all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, good. Always tip well. So, but again, they take card. They have a little, and you don't need. A lot of people get put off thinking you got to have a big merchant account. You got to have like proper card terminals or something. You don't. There's so many modern ways to take card nowadays.
You can do it on your phone.
You can do it on your phone. You can do it with PayPal app. You can
like
do
iZettle, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
just plugs into your phone.
Little thing you plug in your phone. You can take. And if you look at all these sort of,
but the terminals are only like 15 quid a month.
They're not a lot of money.
They're not expensive.
They're not a lot. There's so many options for not taking cash, and I think the sooner we become cashless, the better. I don't like cash. It's dirty. It's filthy. It carries disease. It carries bugs.
It opens up for fraud.
100% opens up for fraud
And money laundering.
I remember at one point, right? I can't remember if obviously this is the new pound coin's irrelevant, but with the old pound coin, I think it was something like for every 3, 1 of them was illegal. One of them was a fraudulent pound coin. So 1 in 3 was a fake pound coin.
The only thing that just slightly concerned me, this is like the conspiracist, sort of. But the second that it all goes digital, you kind of don't have any control. I.e., if the government just want to freeze your assets,
it's true.
Bang, you've got nothing.
That's
Whereas,
true.
like with cash, they kind of can't do that. So it does give a control to the government. That just slightly.
Okay, but this is where crypto comes in, because crypto sits in the middle and it's cashless, but it's not controlled by the government.
It's true.
So there's a good because I think crypto is going to be.
It's true.
I think we're going crypto.
And if there's a way around it, so that crypto will replace all the fraud.
Have you got crypto?
I don't know. I don't know much about it. Mm-hmm. Should I learn? Yeah. Have you got?
Yeah.
How many have you got?
2.
2 Bitcoin. He talks about like, yeah, I know about it. 2.
I don't know enough about it. But
How much do you pay for them?
It doesn't matter.
Come on.
A lot.
How much? Did you buy them just before they kind of like went all down? Yep, he did.
No, they cost me about $6,000 each.
Okay.
So they're sitting about.
That's about that now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're about.
There's not made any money, but I'm not worried about taking them out. I'm very happy.
Because they did dip, didn't they?
They went right down to like worth like that mouse was worth more. But yeah, I think ultimately it will come up. I don't know enough about them. I obviously. Marcus de Maria.
Yeah.
So I went to a seminar that Marcus was running, and he told us all about it. So I thought, I had a bit of money. I'm going to get into it.
Speaking to the mic, I think is what he's trying to say.
Okay. So our sound guy was waving at me.
Nick was waving at him. So I tried to hint by moving forward, but he was here just went.
Okay, so yeah, I went to we've got a very good friend that's very, very well in the know.
Maybe I should look at. I'm just like property.
I have multiples. I have multiple investments.
That makes sense.
A varied portfolio, and also another one of our trainers, Arno Barnes. He's got a very large portfolio of Bitcoin.
Interesting. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you think cashless is a good thing, bad thing? Do you carry cash? Be very interested to get your thoughts. Right, it's now time for this. Okay, so it's now time for Q&A, so questions and answers. Best place to contact us is on Instagram. I'm Russell Leeds, at Russell Leeds.
I'm Alasdair _Cunningham.
There you go, so you can check us out. So here we go, first one. This is from Stefano Chicho?
Stefano.
This is from Stefano. He says, what's the best way to set up a structured JV partnership? I've done projects on my own, but now it's time to leverage other people's time and money to accelerate our business goals in 2020.
Okay, that's very much like a property question by the sounds of things. But okay, set up a JV partnership. Let's just go with a JV in a business. You sit down, you work out who wants what, who's going to give what, who's going to bring what, and then you draw a contract and you take it from there. That's how you do it. Me and Russell are talking about doing some business together at the minute, away from what we're doing already. We're talking about buying some property together. So we're going to sit down. I'm going to tell him what he's not going to get, and I'm going to tell him what he has to give me, and then we're going to take it from there, write it down, and work it out. It's that simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would you add anything?
Not really. I would say that's very easy though. If it's a JV like that, it's very easy because we're kind of both adding the same thing, aren't we?
Yeah, of course we are. Yeah.
So in terms of, we're both going to be looking at deals. We're both putting half the money in.
Yeah.
So that's very, very easy to work out.
Yeah.
JV. I mean, we've JV with business partners where they bring other things to the table. Then obviously it's a different negotiation.
Thing. You sit down with a bit of paper and you say, well, I'm going to bring the time, the expertise, the website, the technology, and you're going to bring the marketing, the money, the customer base.
And then that's your thing. Solicitors draw the contract. So you draw up heads of terms.
Yeah, be very clear that you have very clear expectations of what they're going to bring and what they're going to do and what you're going to bring and what you're going to do. So what your involvement is. The biggest problem that will come is where you say, yeah, don't worry about it, I'll sort that out.
Expectations are everything.
Expectations are everything when it comes to business, because you've got to set them very, very early on and stick to them. If somebody says they're going to do something, make them stick to it and hold them accountable. Next.
Okay, cool. So next, this is quite a good question actually from Kyle Gin. What are your guys' thoughts regarding accountants? So I've got two options available to me. One, local accountant, very cheap rates, but not very reputable. Two, a national company.
What? Say it again. Number one,
local accountant, very cheap rates, but not that reputable.
Okay, well, why would you even contemplate using them? Bin them off.
When it says not that reputable, I don't think it means like they've got a bad reputation. I just think it means...
If he's even saying they're not that reputable, he's doubting them, so just don't even use them.
Well, no,
it's like saying, oh, God, go on.
Go on, so let's say what?
Okay, I've got two accountants. One of them's a bit shit, and the other one's all right, but he's cheaper, so I'm going to go with this shit one.
No, it's not, because the next one's a national company, great reputation, but seem very expensive in comparison. So the question is, okay, forget his question slightly then, we'll just talk about it, because obviously you've got a bee in your bonnet about it for some reason.
No, but
let's just talk about accountants in general. Do you go for a cheap local person?
Pay cheap, pay twice. Pay cheap, pay twice. I'm telling you now. You pay cheap, you pay twice. An accountant shouldn't be about how much it's going to cost me. So how much are they going to save me? A good accountant, and you ask any good accountant this, they will always tell you if they will save you a lot more than what they've cost you, and it's an investment.
I do agree.
I don't even care about how much my accountant costs.
Just depends on the size of your business, though.
Yeah.
So like when I was self-employed and I was not making very much money, I literally had an accountant who just did my self-assessment basically for me, and you don't want to be paying a big...
It comes down to, again, to what we just spoke about, expectations. What are you expecting them to do? If you're expecting them to just submit your online assessment, then you'll pay a fixed amount, because all they're doing is a form filling. But if you want them to be an accountant and actually work out your accounts for you, that's a very different...
I have been burnt with crappy accountants in the past.
Let me guess. Okay. I'm not going to name any here. I've had many accountants, okay? And I'll tell you now...
He's been with a lot of accountants.
I've had a lot of accountants because most of them suck. Most of them are not interested in your business and most of them suck.
So you've been with a lot of accountants because most of them suck?
At doing accounts.
Okay.
Right. And the biggest, I went with a national company. It rhymes with, I can't say it. I can't think of a rhyme. But anyway, it rhymes with something that sounds like max assist, right? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, there's a national company that I've used and they suck. They're not interested. It's a franchised. They pop up in the high streets and they absolutely suck. I wouldn't even give them the accountants for my...
I used to use Tax Assist back in the day.
They suck. Oh, the one I dealt with sucked.
What's the thing is, it's very hard.
Yeah. It just cost me, and it ended up costing me a load of money, and I've never used them again. But That's because back then I was like, oh, I need to find the cheapest accountant. Now I don't care about I don't even ask them.
I do agree.
I go and sit down with them and I say, look, this is my business, this is my turnover, there's all my figures. You work out what you can do for me, and then at the end of it, okay, how much is all that going to cost me? And then we discuss it. But I don't go in there saying, I'm looking for the cheapest accountant to do no. If you're looking for just a bookkeeper, that's different. Remember, there's two different things: an accountant and a bookkeeper. They're very, very different. And also, if you're looking for somebody just to submit your online form after you've done all the accountancy, you'll pay next to nothing for that. You can do it yourself.
Accountant's very important. You need to make sure that you get someone who's good.
Get a very, very good accountant. And don't be so fixated on how cheap it is or how expensive it is, because they'll always save you a lot more money in tax.
Yeah. And I would just speak to them and go and speak to a few different ones. Yeah. Tell them what you want. See how they're going to help. What they can do for you. Before
we move on, I'd highly recommend you actually speak to the person that's doing your accounts. Not the clerk or not the accounts administrator. The person that is actually doing your accounts. So my accountant now, he's the straightest guy you've ever met, but he's to the point. Listen, this is what you can do. This is what you can't do. And I go and sit with him. He authorizes everything, and his assistant does everything. Yeah. And he does all the accounts. So I know the people that are doing my paperwork for me, and that's it.
Cool.
And he's not cheap either, but he saves me a lot of money.
All right, next question from Joe Nickel. Okay, I've got one. So we all have great business ideas. I'm the guy who thinks of things, puts them on paper, but never starts them. This has been happening for 3 years now. It's pretty shameful. So the question is, have you started businesses from just an idea and actually moved forward with making it a reality? And if so, how? Is it a case of just doing it, or is it a mindset thing first?
A good question.
That is a very good question.
Because we all suffer from procrastination. I was kind of that guy. Always coming up with business ideas, always coming up with the next thing. And then you end up talking yourself out of it. And just life takes over and you never do anything about it. What I'd say is, pick something. Go back to what we talked about earlier, the 5 rules, the 5 sort of key things. Is there demand? Is it profitable? Are you passionate? Can it be replicated? And what was the 5th one?
Demand, profit margin.
Profit margin, is it profitable? So as long as it meets them 5 things and you're happy to go with it and you can afford the investment, or you're happy to invest, go for it. And give it everything you've got. Don't do it half-arsed. Like, if you only do things half-hearted, you only get half-hearted results.
I agree.
Go all in.
Just go through the steps. Get a website.
Yeah.
Start putting it on social media. I don't know what the idea is, but just literally, as long as it fits the bill, just do it.
And start believing in yourself a bit more, because nobody else is going to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself. Right, so if you've got an idea that you've been thinking about, you've done all your due diligence, you've done all your research, you know it's going to work, you know that it's going to be profitable if you hit your targets, then just freaking go for it, man. What is the worst that can happen?
I agree.
What is the worst that can happen?
I agree.
Think about what's the best that can happen, though.
So yeah, just go for it. But maybe share with us next week what it is. And then we can maybe give you some advice. So guys, thanks ever so much for tuning in. We will be back next week, same time, same channel. Please hit subscribe. You can check us out on YouTube if you haven't already. Share with your friends, ask us questions, get involved. We love you, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.